All right. This is the Domestic Draft Podcast. I'm Evan Bierman here with Dan Slowick. We got a special guest coming on today, and we're going to be talking all things Chicago. But first, Dan, what are you drinking, man?
Excuse me. Pure and Simple IPA. It's from a brewery here in San Diego called New English Brewing. I was over there this weekend. I've never heard of this place, but it had a really nice facility. It's kind of in an industrial park, huge building. They brew on site. They have a tap room. They also have a pub like side of the tap room with like a pool table and TVs, and you can kind of get that vibe if that's what you're going for. And then a huge outdoor space as well. But a little bit about the brewing and the name, you're probably curious, New English Brewing. It's an independent family-owned San Diego craft brewery. It won numerous awards, and the owner is originally from England, right? But he lives in San Diego now. His name is Simon Lacey, and he aims to brew something for everyone. This beer I'm drinking, Pure and Simple IPA, has won some prestigious awards. It was gold medal winner at the San Diego International Beer Competition, also gold medal winner at the LA International Beer Competition. It's described as an IPA with mosaic and citra hops, bursting with fresh tropical fruit, aromas of melon, mango, guava, and peach. Get a hold of that. And it tastes really well, actually. Yeah, it's not bad. I know sometimes in here we're like, yeah, this was all right, not for me, but this one's actually really good. So this might be something I ship back to you in Chicago and have you taste.
Yeah, definitely.
6.5%. Yeah. What about you? What do you got?
All right. So the brewery I have is Finch Beer Company. It's in Chicago. They began in brewing in 2011 in Albany Park on the northwest side of the city. In 2017, under new ownership, they moved to a much larger state-of-the-art brewery in Fulton Market. They also have a brew pub in partnership with Four Star Restaurant Group. It's called The Perch. It's a full-service restaurant on Division Street in the heart of Wicker Park. They have some exclusive small batch brews there, full bar, seasonal brunch, lunch, and dinner. It's a really cool space. It's close to like Parlor Pizza Bar, if you're familiar with that area over there. They got a nice outdoor patio as well. The beer I have here is called Taco Gato. It's a ghost style ale with lime and orange zest, sea salt, and coriander. So a lot going on with that too. It's kind of tart. It sips like a margarita with a little sea salt and lime in there. 6.5%. It gets a 3.67 on Untapped.
So is that Taco Cat? Is that
Taco?
Isn't Gato a cat?
Yeah, Gato is cat.
Yeah, okay.
There it is. Pretty cool looking can there. But speaking of margaritas and cocktails, we have a special guest coming on today. Her name is Jenna Duddleston. She's a Southside Chicago resident and host of Bar Talk with Jenna. She's at Bar Talk with Jenna on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, all those good things. Jenna, thanks so much for coming on and being with us.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you. And I just have to add, is your last name really Bierman?
It is, yeah.
Okay, you were meant to do this.
That's what I'm saying.
Like you were like before you even came out of the birthing canal, like you just, it was like the stars were aligned for you to have a podcast where you get to talk about beer and you love it because your last name is fucking Bierman.
I know.
Hey, he's forced to do it. He hates beer.
You hate beer. You can't hate beer. I was like, we shouldn't be sitting here right now if you hate beer.
I know that worked out that I ended up liking beer here. So
yeah. So I got to say, yeah, I came across your profile and I saw you do this podcast, Bar Talk with Jenna. And I just got curious and I thought it was really cool. And I love your like little clips that you post. And I'm just curious how you got started like with this kind of social media following and like did you decide to do all this?
Yeah. So I've had the idea for Bar Talk since I was 21. My family owns one of the oldest Irish pubs in the United States. So people went to daycare after school. I went to a bar. Thought it was normal. It's not. It's very much not. But I thought it was. And so when I was 21, I was like pursuing like sports broadcasting, and that's kind of what I always wanted to do. But as I was in the sports world, I was talking about the bar. And when I was in the bar, I was talking about the sports world. And I was like, how can I like bridge these two gaps together? Like I want to find a way for my two worlds to coexist. And then, I think like many people in the world, COVID affected me very drastically. I lost my job. And in the beginning of 2020, I was like, you know what, bitch, I'm sick of hearing you talk about Bar Talk. You're either doing it like shit or get off the pot. Like, I'm so sick of hearing you talk about it. Like, you got to do something with it or you need to move on to something else. So I was planning on launching it come White Sox opening day. And so I was doing all of the prep work, because you obviously can't just wake up one day and be like, I'm going to start a podcast. Boom, it's here. Like there's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes into it. So I was doing all of that come the beginning of January. And basically, when I found out I lost my job with no return date in sight, I was like, okay, you get one day to be sad, have your pity party, scream, cry, yell, ask God why. A bottle of scotch was involved that I drank a lot of, I should add.
There you go.
Yeah. So, but I was like, okay, you get one day. That's it. Like one day, and then no more. And then your pity party's over. So when I woke up, I was like, okay, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to bartend. And I was like, well, how can I bartend? So it originally started as like Instagram Live on my phone, because I had the profile set up. And again, it was all like, everything was ready to go. Like literally, it was like the rocket was ready to be launched. I just hadn't pulled the trigger. So I was like, well, we can do it via like Instagram Live. Everyone's stuck at home. We're all going to be drinking. Why don't we all feel like my community of people at the bar is still drinking together, essentially? So it started off as like an Instagram Live. I had no idea what I was doing, but no one did at that time. And I did 40 shows in 10 weeks. So
Oh, wow.
yeah. So I always say like it wasn't the plan, but it's way better than the plan. And it's definitely like grown and evolved into something like that
That's
I'm
awesome.
really proud of. And just, it's really beautiful. And we still got a lot more up my sleeve. We just haven't done it all yet, we'll say.
Yeah, good for you. And
Yeah, that
I
is
feel like a lot of the
really
people that we've
awesome.
talked about who like started it, they kind of have that same like, all right, shit or get off the pot mentality. It's like just go out and do it. So do you do all of your like little editing and ads and video clips as well? You do that all on your own?
Yeah, it's just me.
Wow, very impressive.
We thought you had like a team going on over there. It's much more professional than our stuff. So we're gonna have to figure some things out here. Maybe talk to you after the show.
I was gonna
know
say
can
we can brainstorm. I'm very like I'm very creative, but very like slightly OCD, which I think in doing something like this, you kind of have to be, especially if you want it to do well. So
Yep.
I'm very grateful that I have an extremely talented sister who does all of my graphics pretty much. Like she created the logo for Bar Talk, which I just think is like the most badass sick thing on the planet. She created my podcast album cover. So I'm very grateful to like use her as a sounding board, not only in like the graphics, but in coming up with captions, coming up with titles, you know, how to make things clever, because sometimes you can only do so much of it. So the day that I can like afford to hire her, I can't wait, because I just can't do it yet. No, but yeah, I wanted to be able to do everything on my own, a little bit out of like stubbornness, but a little bit out of pride too, because I didn't want to have to rely on someone to be like, can you make this for me? I need this now. I need this now. I need this now, because I know I'd be super annoying.
Right.
So I was like, you're going to figure it all out. So I just figured it all out.
Wow.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, we got a graphics guy too. Shout him out, Matt Stahula. Appreciate you. Thanks for making all of our graphics.
Yeah,
Shout out
thank you,
graphics.
Statch. So tell us about Shinnick's Pub and what it was like growing up around a family business, one, and two, one with such a rich history.
Yeah.
Did you say it was the oldest Irish, one of the oldest?
It's one of the oldest Irish pubs in the United States. So it's been in my family since 1938.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll say this. So it was my great grandparents, right? Yeah. So my great grandparents, George and Mary Celine, had it. And then my grandfather and my grandmother, George and Celine Shinnick, purchased it. And then when my grandmother passed away, my grandfather didn't want anything to really do with the bar anymore. So they turned it into like an actual like LLC business and gave it to my mom and her 8 siblings. So there's 9 owners. And you know, I'll say this, like, I think I didn't really appreciate the bar until I left, until I went away to college. Like, so I went down to school in Miami for a year and then jumped up to school in Minnesota and then came home and finished at DePaul. But it wasn't until I left and I wasn't, you know, surrounded and I wasn't in it all the time that I really appreciated how like unique the upbringing was, because like you just think it's normal. Like totally thought growing up in a bar was so normal. I thought sitting next to Uncle Edgar, excuse me, as he drank his old style in a pint with Pepper, because Pepper kept the head of a beer, was normal. And it wasn't until his funeral that I learned that Uncle Edgar wasn't my uncle. Oh my
Oh
God. The
no.
most traumatic experience of my life. I was like, Mom, what do you mean? She's like, Jenna, we have no relationship to this man. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
but I've called him Uncle Edgar my entire life. What do you mean he's not my uncle? So I think the other cool thing too about that is like you create this. So I have like my family, but then there's like the bar family. And
Right.
what's really unique is we have people that are my age, whose parents drank there, whose grandparents drank there, whose great grandparents drank there. And I just don't think there's many places that you can go to where you can sit at the same stool and it's like, yeah, my grandpa drank here. Like I'm working behind the same place that, my grandparents worked at and my great grandparents worked at. So I have so much gratitude and I'm so grateful and like honored to be a part of such a rich family history and legacy. And I don't take that lightly and I don't take that like for granted. Like I'm so grateful for it every single day. And I have a huge, beautiful, like dysfunctional Southside Irish Catholic family that I just love so much. Um, and I really do think that, the bar brings us together in a lot of beautiful ways. And I'm just like, I could talk about it literally all day because it just makes me so happy to be a part of it and to,
Yeah.
and to still work there and for it to still be in business after, going through not only prohibition, but like the pandemic too.
Pandemic.
Like
Yeah. That's so good.
crazy.
That's great.
Yeah.
Seen
That's
a
the one
lot.
thing I miss. I mean, I'm out here in San Diego for the last 3 years and just the history, right? Like there's no historic like pubs or bars or taverns, and you kind of
Yeah.
miss that environment. And that's what's so special about Chicago. It's like every good neighborhood has their pub or their tavern
Mm-hmm.
where it's somewhere you can go and you can just meet up and you can like see your friends unannounced, right? You're not like texting them, hey, come hang out. They just walk through the door.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I miss about Chicago. Being an Irish bar and being a historic Irish bar, what is St. Patrick's Day like there?
Oh my God. So I literally was just hanging out with my aunt yesterday and my little nieces and nephew. And I was like, guys, do you know what tomorrow is? And they're like, what? I'm like, it's March 1st. That means St. Patrick's Day. Are you ready for St. Patrick's Day? So it's what's great now in our like new kind of tradition that's turned is like on St. Patrick's Day is obviously a huge day for the bar. But we really celebrate because of my neighborhood. We do the downtown parade every year. So I've been marching in the downtown parade since I was like a little girl. And so the Saturday before is like a really big day. And it's a day where all of my, like the whole family comes together and it's become our like second Christmas in a way, but it's not at someone's house, it's at the bar. And what's crazy too is like we kind of take over the back room and there's all the kids now. So like I have 21 first cousins and I'm on the younger side. I know your eyes are like popping out,
Yeah.
but everyone pretty much is married and has kids. So the second cousins have surpassed us got a while ago. I think we're at 24 now and they're young. Like they're between the ages of, I think it's like 10, no, 9. So there's a lot of little kids. So they're running around the bar and like running behind the bar, running in the beer room, running in the liquor room. And it's funny because we obviously still get customers who come in and they're like, what the fuck is going on right now?
It's family party.
So we're like, it's a
Yeah.
family party. Don't worry. Come on in,
Yeah,
come
yeah.
on in.
We're
So
still open.
we're still open. It's great. But yeah, it means a lot. And I think, I get the stereotype of like, oh, it's just a day of drinking, which don't get me wrong, it is. We enjoy, I indulge. But I really do, for me, it's become a day of like just continuing to like be together with my family and to just cherish those moments of all of us being together. And, like knock on wood, we all have our health. Everyone's here and I'm so grateful for that. And it's just a day we just cherish and we just can celebrate together. And, I'm like looking at my calendar right now and I'm like, oh my God, like we have a St. Patrick's Day party this weekend and then we'll have one next weekend and then we'll have one next weekend. And it's just like, and it just never stops.
Yeah. It's a very
Um,
Chicago holiday.
it's
It's
such
not
a
really
Oh, yeah.
celebrated out here at all.
No, and I didn't realize that until when I went to school down in Miami. Like I remember being like so like probably was like severely depressed because I called my cousin and I could
It's
hear
March
my
1st.
aunt.
It's March 1st.
I know. And
Everyone's like,
the
"What?"
day that we all get together, they had like, there was Irish music playing in the background. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not getting corned beef and cabbage this year. Like there's no Irish soda bread. Like what the fuck? I'm in Miami. It's Cuban food. This shit sucks. Like, and I couldn't buy like a plane ticket home. It was just too expensive.
Yeah.
So when I did finally get to come home and I finally got to like be a part of it again, it just made being home like that much more special. And I'm like, yeah, I'm never gonna miss. It would take like some serious once in a lifetime opportunity for me to miss St. Patrick's Day again.
Definitely.
Do you got any like family stories or any like myths or anything? This bar's been around forever, and don't get me like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Al Capone had a brewery that was like nearby or something like that. Like,
He
is there any
did.
like family stories from the past? I'm sure there are. But like
I'm sure
anything
there are. I'm
crazy
sure there's
that-
none I can really
you could
share.
tell. Yeah,
I'm
you could
sure there's
tell.
none I can really share, to be
Okay.
quite honest.
Warren and
But I will say, like, yeah, I know his brewery was like down the street. I don't know, like, for certain if he ever stumbled in, but like knowing the way that the neighborhood works, I gotta believe he has.
Yeah.
Because it's Chicago, like,
Yeah.
you know, and again, like I didn't realize that like growing up, I don't want to say with the mob because like I have no mob affiliation, like zero. Like I'm Irish. There's not there's not even like a face to it. But I didn't realize that like people were like so fascinated with it because again, it's just normal. Like you're just like, oh yeah, like it's just I don't
Right.
even know. Like so yeah, I don't know of any stories. I'm sure there are. But I mean, I will say this: we have a lot of ghost stories.
Okay.
We have
Oh, really?
There you go.
We have a lot of ghost stories. I can give you that. God, I mean, we had customers and bartenders saying probably maybe like 20 years ago, a little less than 20 years ago, that they were seeing this person.
What were
And
you serving
customers
them?
I don't that well, that's what I think that's what everyone, they were like, okay, so you're
Little
just drunk
absinthe
behind
on
the
the
bar,
side.
right?
Yeah.
You're just drunk behind the bar. And then it would be like multiple people, same description. And so we had like a psychic medium come in and like basically like clear the energy out. I've had a few incidences happen to me where I've had like I'll tell you my two favorite ones. But the first one was I was putting my dog Sunday for the longest time used to come to the bar with me, just because it was just me and I was closing by myself. And
Say your dog's name is Sunday.
Sunday, like the dessert. Yeah, I had a milkshake
Oh,
growing up, so
that's
now we have a
awesome.
Sunday. Yeah, so he's the bar dog, and everyone's obsessed with him. And people would get pissed when I wouldn't bring him. They're like, "Fucking go home and get the dog. I'll bartend for you for 5 minutes." I'm like, "Really, guys?" But no. So I was closing the bar one night, and I was putting the money in the safe. And when I bent down, I felt someone tap my shoulder, and the dog was right behind me. And I like stood up right away, and I was like, "Oh God!" But what freaked me out was that the dog didn't freak out. And they say dogs can sense that.
They
Because
know.
dogs see in black and white. And so I was like, okay, if he's calm, I'm going to stay calm. But that's fucking weird. And then to me, this one is the craziest one. It would have been Mark Burley Jersey retirement day. So I believe that day was like a scorcher. It was like 1,000 degrees. It was so hot. So everyone was pretty much inside. AC was on full blast. And we had a new bartender at the time who was like, it was like her first day training. I was like, this is the best way to learn, like diving into the deep end with the sharks. So I'm going to just like throw you in and you're going to see like how it goes. And I was standing by the main cooler, and I felt like, you know, when you're in a crowded bar and someone like brushes up against you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I felt that on my back. And so I like turn around and I'm like, she's at the end, like halfway at the end of the bar. I'm like, were you just by me? She's like, no. I'm like, are you sure? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, huh. So I wasn't going to say anything until a customer, Uncle Edgar's grandson, Kyle goes, you felt that too?
Whoa.
Oh, really?
And I was like, I wasn't going to say anything. And he's like,
So it's haunted. Got it.
So it's definitely haunted. We have a lot of frequent flyers on the other side. We'll say
That's a good way to put it.
Wow.
yeah, but no. So yeah, I mean, there's things, but nothing's ever been scary. I'll say it's just like a friendly, like, hey, I'm here.
Let me just
Okay.
say, only a Sox fan remembers what the weather was like when Mark Burley's jersey retirement was going on.
Exactly.
So that's not something I have in my memory, but that's impressive. And yeah, you're so close to guaranteed rate, right? So what was it
Yeah.
like when the Sox won the World Series there? Was it just-
Comiskey. It's always
Also, I was going to say, do you call it
Okay.
guaranteed rate?
Fuck no, absolutely not. This doesn't even sound right.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't call it the sell. I'm not calling it guaranteed rate. It's either it's Comiskey or Sox
It's
Park.
old and
All
new
right.
Comiskey.
Yeah. When the Sox won the World Series, I was in 7th grade. My sister and I were stuck at home. My mom went to the bar with my dad, and no, my dad was actually in Houston. My dad went to game 4
went
in
to the game.
Houston. That bastard wouldn't invite me. I was so mad at him.
In
He was
7th
like,
grade?
I'm in 7th grade. I'm like, I deserve to go to this game. He's
He
like,
knew what he was doing.
he was like, Jenna, no, you don't. I'm like, Dad, that's just mean because like I really want to be there. And he's like, I don't care. You're not coming. I'm getting drunk with my guy friends.
Yeah, he's like, so do I.
So do I. But no, so my mom went to the bar, celebrated with all of her siblings. My sister and I were at home. I had 2 younger siblings who were upstairs, passed out in my parents' bed. And when they won, we ran into the middle of the street with our one neighbor, and we were just like jumping around. And then we ran back in the house and we looked at each other and we were like, we have to go to the bar. We have to go to the bar.
Right.
So we shut the door, didn't lock it, might I add you, because we didn't have a house key. And we walked down the block to the bar. And my mom's like, what are you doing here? I was like, why do you think we don't deserve to be here? So we stayed at the bar. I was, God, my parents, thank God.
Like
my
20
mom-
beers.
My mom thinks I can't go to jail right now with DCFS, but I was probably 12 and I think I stayed at the bar until 12:30 in the morning. Like I was like, what the hell is wrong with me? But I missed
Place of
school.
business.
It's a place
Yeah.
of business. I went to school late the next day, because I was tired.
Yeah.
And my mom was too hungover to wake any of us up. So we all missed school. But yeah, it was so much fun. I had a blast. The neighborhood was electric. And it was just pure joy. Like there was just pure joy on everyone's face in the neighborhood. And I'm so grateful that I got to enjoy the White Sox winning as a kid because and I look forward to the day I get to witness it as a drunk adult. But as a kid, there's a different kind of like love and admiration you have for that team and those guys. And I was present for like every single moment of it. So I'm just like so grateful for it. And I like can't wait for what's next.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear us talk about where we were when the Cubs won the World Series?
Not really. I could tell you where I was. It was
All right, yeah. we won't talk about it. But yeah, hopefully soon one of those teams wins again. All right.
Yeah.
So let's start talking about some bar talk. How about that? Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the number one trait you think a good bartender needs?
I think you need to be able to listen. And you need to be able to listen just to listen, not listen to respond. I think any person who has a good bartender, it's because the bartender knows how to listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
But they also will take care of you. Meaning like I've had customers come in and like when I know they're done, I'm like,
yeah,
here's a water.
Yep.
And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
I think it's that balancing act of like listening, taking care, like a good bartender takes care of their customers. And you just, I don't know, you just have fun. Like they just create a good, fun atmosphere, I think.
For sure. 100% agree. All right. So we talked about this pre-show. I want to make one of these drinks. I want to do the Tequila Old Fashioned.
So a little background, right? Like Jenna does every Friday you put out a recipe for a drink.
Give us the rundown, Jenna.
Yeah. So every Friday, the drink of the week started as a way of like, how can I organically get people to come to and find the podcast without like pushing the podcast down people's throats. And right. So I obviously I grew up in a tavern, but I like bartended professionally downtown. So like learned a lot about cocktails and liquor and wine.
Assholes.
Yeah, I guess that's one way of saying it. But no, I loved it. I learned so much. So yeah, I basically was like, people were like, teach me how to make this. And I was like, okay, so like, let's see if we can do this. And if you like it, great. So it basically started off as like a way to find people, and people love the drinks. Like people look forward to the drinks every Friday. Like people are like, what's the new drink this week? I'm like, look out for it tomorrow, so it's really exciting. But yeah, a Tequila Old Fashioned, for those of you who haven't tried it. I love tequila. I know people can be afraid of tequila. However, it's the type of tequila that you find. You have to find the right tequila. I love Casamigos.
Right here.
Yeah, you got Casamigos Reposado. I
Yeah.
think Reposado is like especially in an old fashioned with this, it's such a pretty color. And I'm someone who like believes in the visuals. Like you drink with your eyes first. So if you see something that looks visually appealing, you're going to want it.
We're
So
repping George Clooney too, right?
repping George Clooney.
Salt,
I'll
that
tell
salt
you this.
pepper.
He
Oh,
sold
man.
it for a bill, so you know it's good.
He sold it for an insane amount of money. And I'll tell you this, though, it started super organically because he made Casamigos just for fun and was giving it to his friends as gifts when they went to his like place in Mexico. And his friends were like, you need to sell this. Like this is the best tequila I've ever had. And it is the best tequila. Okay.
Oh, that's
so
insane.
you
I didn't
have,
know that.
Yeah, what are we doing? Evan, for everyone
All
listening,
right.
Evan's got the bottle. He's got his glass ready, a little ice cube in
Yeah,
there.
I got the orange bitters, some agave nectar here. Got an
Beautiful.
orange peel going. So I think I got everything right.
you got everything.
Jenna?
Okay. So you're going to do half an ounce of agave nectar and you're going to put it. That's perfect. Yeah. And then I was going to say, you can put it straight into the glass. I like to stir it in like a different glass and pour over fresh ice. Oh yeah. Let's do that. Yeah. Let's do that. Okay. Perfect. So half an ounce.
Look at this.
He's prepared. Fantastic.
How do you feel about mezcal? Because I've been so close to Mexico here. I go there and kind of back and forth, and tequila is not my favorite, but I kind of fell in love with mezcal last time I was in Mexico
if you
City.
find the right kind of mezcal, it's actually really good. And a mezcal old fashioned is fantastic too.
Yeah, I like that smoky flavor.
So Evan, now you're gonna do 2 ounces of the Casamigos Reposado.
Okay.
Woohoo!
This is great for people listening.
So my trick too with this, guys, when you're doing like with a jigger, like your shot, I always like to do it, especially with something sticky. So if you're using like agave, maple syrup, or simple syrup, I'll use like the side that I use the agave for, so the rest of it gets in, because sometimes it doesn't fully always get in from your jigger on your first pour. So fun little fact.
Pro tip there.
Pro tip.
And you need a little bar mat too. I spilled a little bit right there. So.
Oh yeah, I'm always spilling shit. Don't you worry.
All right.
And then you're gonna do 2 dashes of orange bitters straight into the glass.
1, 2.
Perfect.
There you go.
All right. And if you have a spoon, do you have a spoon?
He's got it. He's good.
I do. Let me go grab one.
Oh,
Okay, go.
Jesus. Okay.
Damn it. We were so close, Evan.
So besides Casamigos, then, like, what's your tier of like tequilas?
Tequilas.
Maybe like top 3.
My top 3. Well, I will say, I just said this the other day. Like, I'm a slut for Casamigos, and I have
Okay.
I'm
All
a
right.
slut for Casamigos.
All right.
So Evan, you're gonna stir it around for just like 30 seconds, okay? Just on the sides, just really get it going. Almost, you kind of want to like whip it, but not too heavy, just nice and smooth. And then when you're done, pour it over that nice fresh ice cube. What else is really good? I have
Everyone says like Patron. Is it? It's.
I'm not a fan. Okay, so I feel spoiled in the sense that my first introduction to tequila was Casamigos.
Okay.
So like that's some spoiled ass shit right there. Like I didn't.
And it's not a white tequila, right? It's is it white and gold?
So
or
there's Casamigos has like a bunch of different flavors. My first one was the Casamigos Blanco, which I love. I could do like Casamigos water and lime juice is perfect. Evan, add that orange peel, get that orange peel ready. And then what you're going to do once you get it is, you probably see bartenders do it, but you're going to like spray it. The outside of it. You're going to zest it. Yeah. Zest. Yeah. Spray it. And then you're going to ring the top of the
he's pinching it.
along
I would have preferred if you twisted it instead of pinching
You want
it.
to twist?
And then ring and then you're just going to drop that little baby in. Bada bing.
All right.
Bada
There
boom.
you go. There we have it.
I'll drink the whole thing.
It's a sexy
Slam
little
it.
cocktail. No, sip that shit first. Enjoy it. Relax into it.
All right. Appreciate that.
Oh my God. And let's hear what's the feedback.
This is fantastic. First sip right off the bat.
Right. It's so good.
Sweet,
So
smooth.
It's just like a little bit sweet, perfect amount from that nectar, I think.
I
And
always
the orange
say
bitters are like, it's a nice touch.
I
didn't-
like the balance of it.
Yeah, it's really balanced, honestly. You
Yeah.
know, some people I think are scared by tequila.
Yeah.
It's not people's first choice unless they're having like a margarita or something.
Mhm.
But this is like an easy sipper for sure.
Yeah. And if you're like someone who doesn't like sweet necessarily, instead of doing half an ounce, you could just do a 1/4 ounce. So like with old fashions, like I just worked a party this weekend and the one guy's like, there's too much simple syrup. And I was like, that's fine. We'll do just a dash.
Right.
And that's totally fine if you want to taste more of that like tequila aspect of it, especially if it's a good tequila. But I always think that's a nice place to start. And then you can kind of like teeter totter
So is
there.
tequila your number one spirit, or you like
No,
bourbon,
no,
whiskey,
bourbon.
vodka, bourbon?
Bourbon is my girl.
You got a go-to?
I got a few go-tos. So I've been drinking a lot of Brothers Bond bourbon. I like Angel's Envy. But my favorite one, and it's actually a whiskey, is and I talk about this every time, and I'll talk about it till I'm black and blue in the face. I don't even care. Have you heard of Uncle Nearest?
No.
Okay. Guys, I'm going to educate you. You're going to thank me when you're done. So Uncle Nearest, known as Nathan Nearest Green, was a once enslaved Black man who taught Jack Daniels how to make whiskey, how to make Tennessee whiskey.
Wow.
So a very unlikely friendship back in that day. A once enslaved man and Jack Daniels, who was an orphan, developed this like very unlikely friendship. Uncle Nearest is what Jack called him. He taught Jack how to like perfect the Lincoln County process, which is what makes Tennessee whiskey Tennessee whiskey. So when Jack perfected Jack Daniels, he needed someone back on the back at the distillery that he trusted to run the making of more whiskey, and that man was Nathan Nearest Green. So it was one of those things that like the people in Lynchburg, Tennessee, knew about the story of Nathan and Jack, but it wasn't something that was like widely known by the world. And a few years ago, I don't remember when, but the New York Times did an article basically saying that Jack Daniels kind of like whitewashed Nathan Nearest
Right.
Green from their history. And this woman by the name of Fawn Weaver was like, I just don't think this is correct. Like, there's something about this story that I feel like I'm missing. So she, who is living in LA, her husband, who was a movie producer, like a bigwig movie executive, she flew to Tennessee to go to Lynchburg, to go to the library to find the history of this. And the people, obviously, of the town were like very protective and felt very I think almost attacked that like their story was not being told properly. And here's this woman coming in whose husband is a movie executive producer, and why should I believe that you're here for the right reasons, you know?
Mhm.
um and so Jack Daniels, I believe it was great granddaughter, found her and was like, what are you doing here and what do you want? And she said, I don't believe the story and I want to know it. Like, I don't think your family story has been told properly. So she told her, Fawn was then introduced to the relatives of Nathan Nearest Green. And when she met his relatives, she said to them, what do you want us to do now with the story? Like, it was a story that basically people, he was always in the history books, but no one ever followed up with who is this man? Why don't we know more about this man?
Mhm.
And his family said, we want his name on a bottle. So basically, it is on track right now to beat Casamigos as the fastest growing spirit of all time. And it is
Dang.
winning awards. Victoria Butler, who I got to interview, is the master blender and started her second career at 56 years old, and is a Black woman just like fucking killing it in an industry that is run by predominantly white men.
That's awesome.
And it's
Yeah, that's
just
really cool.
fantastic. It's so cool. And I'll tell you this, like, I'm a sucker for a good story. It's part of being a bartender.
Yeah.
But it is a great product as well. So like, I recommend it to everyone I know. Apparently it's been very hard to find lately, which makes me happy and sad at the same time, because I'm like, that's
What's the name
great.
of it again?
Called Uncle Nearest.
Uncle Nearest. Okay.
Get the 100 proof. There's a 100 proof and a 93 proof. I believe it's only a $10 difference, and the 100 proof is that much better.
All right.
What a story that was.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. Learning about that, I'm going to try to go find one as soon as possible.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Definitely gonna keep an eye out for that.
Mhm.
All right. So what's like, we've talked about what your go-to drink is. What's your go-to restaurant in the city?
Ooh. Oh, that's hard.
Let's do it where it's like a sit down fancy.
Fancy, I will say, my favorite, because I love the owner and I just think he's doing incredible work and I love the food, is Franco's and El Culacina. Franco's is a nice little local joint in Bridgeport. it was a mom and pop shop. I'm a sucker. I love mom and pop shops because I come from one.
Right. Right.
But the products are so good. Like when people ask me like, what's my favorite thing on the menu? I'm like, I don't know, because I get something new every time and it becomes my new thing every time. So like they have a shells with vodka with whipped ricotta, who come on, whipped ricotta just like makes my mouth I'm like salivating thinking about it. Ricotta, yeah. And then here's the Irish girl coming in. They're like, don't act like you know how to say it. I'm like, I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. Be nice, please. Yeah, I would say that's probably my favorite. Like if ever I want like a girls' night or a family night, I love Franco's or El Culicino, which is in the South Loop, and it's basically the same menu, a little bit wider of a wine selection and a meat selection, and then there's more space. So both of those I'm very biased to, I'll say.
Where are you
right.
going to get a pizza?
Oh God.
And is it thin crust or deep dish? I mean, deep dish is kind of
So
touristy.
like,
special touristy, or do you actually like it?
Yeah,
Some people
so-
are like so against it, but it's good.
I don't mind it. I will say this. I don't mind deep dish, but if I want pizza, I'm getting thin. I'm getting a thin slice of pizza. I'm getting
Tavern
the
style
tavern
cut.
style. I'm
Yeah.
getting the tavern style pizza. When I do have friends who come in from out of town though, like we love getting deep dish for them as a family. We'll do deep dish nights every like once in a quarter, we'll say, with my family.
Sure.
God, I will say, so I have a few spots. The one spot I love is Pecorino's. Is it Pecorino's? No, Paisanos. Paisanos, which is right
Paisanos.
next door to El Culicina. What I like about them is their crust, their like thin crust to me almost tastes like a cornbread, but it's not. But it's so fucking good. And
Does it
it's
have
not
that
just soft.
cornmeal underneath it too?
It
where
has that
it's-
cornmeal underneath it too. Yeah.
I like that as well.
Every person in Bridgeport says this. I love fills, but I'm very particular about my fills. So my fills has to be this. It needs to be ordered between the hours of 4 and 5 because that's when the best chef is there. You need to get the beef and jardiniere pizza well done.
Sounds awesome.
Well fucking done. That is the secret, because what they've been doing is because they've gotten so big and so popular, and because I don't want to say they don't care about the reviews, but like the money's coming in, so they don't really give a
Regardless.
shit.
Yeah.
Regardless,
Mhm.
yeah. You have to ask for it well done, because I've gotten it where in the middle I'm like, what am I eating? That's not cooked. That's dough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you order a hot dog, what are you getting on it?
Oh God. Well, if I'm at the ballpark, I'm getting grilled onions and mustard.
Grilled onion, yeah.
Grilled onions and mustard. But if I'm at like a hot dog, like a Vienna, something like that, I'll do a traditional Chicago style dog. But then I also love a hot dog with cheese and cucumbers and celery salt.
Say what?
Some cheese on there?
And cheese?
Cucumbers?
Cucumber, and celery salt. Don't ask why. I have no idea why.
Is that a South Side thing, or is that just
I
a
don't
Jenna
know
thing?
if it's a Southside thing. I got it when I was a kid at this hot dog stand by me. And just have gotten it when and where I can. But there's a few places that will have like cheese and cucumbers available. So
Okay. And then
Yeah.
should we
Just
do
like
the
at a
holy...
salad bar or something?
Yeah.
yeah.
Should we do the Holy Trinity? What's your Italian beef order?
Oh, my Italian beef order. Oh God, it's easy. Portillo's. You guys are gonna hate me for this. And I don't even care. Beef dipped with mozzarella, sweet pepper, and mayo.
That's fine. Mayo's
Yeah.
weird, but that's really weird.
Mayo's
but
very
whatever.
weird. I'm a weird person. I put mayo on everything. It's my serial killer trait. I just do. I love it. But yeah, no, I love a good beef. But I will say Portillo's. I love Portillo's. We just go to Portillo's a lot because it's nearby. But Portillo's, their beef and cheddar croissant.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
If you don't want like a heavy beef and you still want beef, that's the beef you get.
In high school, we had a local place called Frankly Yours, and they would do gravy bread where they would just take like the stale beef rolls and they would
Right.
dip it in the gravy and serve it
Right.
for like $1.
Right?
That was so good.
Oh my God, Kathy D's used to do that. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So with your podcast that you're doing, Bar Talk with Jenna, do you
Mhm.
have kind of like some like Mount Rushmore of guests, and then also a favorite guest that you've had on?
Mount Rush, that I've never been asked that question before. That's a great question. Mount Rushmore of guest, I will say, I had Leroyce Hawkins on. He was my 5th guest from Chicago PD, which is
He's a Thornton grad. I taught there.
Wow.
What?
yeah. So I've had Leroyce Hawkins on. I've had on Brian Luce, I'd even put up on that. Brian is who got me Leroy's good family friend. He's like a big producer now with Chicago PD. So he knows all those guys.
Shout out real quick, Thornton Township High School, the speech team, Brad Ablin. They just placed in state. They're killing it down there.
Love that.
All
Love
right.
that. I had Luke Gregerson on, and I got him to talk about the Houston Asteroids cheating scandal because he was on the team that year. So that's a Mount Rushmore one too, I'd say.
Yeah. Wow.
And who else? I'd say this too. Jonathan Sadowski, who is in Sex Life, I had on. Have you guys seen Sex Life on Netflix?
Not familiar.
My wife watches that show.
She knows the
She
scene.
knows.
She knows
She
the
knows.
scene.
I'm
She
gonna
knows
make her
the
listen
scene.
to this.
Yeah. So I've had Jonathan on. Jonathan's a really good friend. And then I've also had Alana Walker, who is like, she was a college athlete, played at Northwestern and played at Virginia, and very much like an Instagram influencer now. So she's a huge following. She's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. She'd be a Victoria's Secret supermodel. She'd be up there. God, who else?
Ozzie Guillen.
Oh, would love to have Ozzy one day. You know who I really want to have on? I mean, I have a lot of like people I want to have on. I want AJ on.
I hate
AJ is
Krasinski
my
so
favorite.
much.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
here's the
hate
thing
him
though,
so
is as a
much.
Southsider, AJ was our asshole. Like the
Yeah.
Southsiders at our core, we're kind of jagoff sometimes. We have big hearts like AJ, but like if you push us, like we're gonna go after you. And I think that's why the Southside will always love AJ Przinsky so much.
They do. Every
Yeah.
Sox fan I know loves AJ Przinsky.
How
And
do
we'll
you
just
not?
complain. We'll complain. That's what we do up north.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
You guys
What's
do
the
it.
biggest difference between Northsiders and Southsiders?
The South Side made the city, but the North Side resides in it.
Oh, that's a
that
shot.
sounded
Shots fired.
rehearsed.
You've never
Yeah.
heard that saying?
Can you tell if a Northsider walks in the bar if you're
Yeah.
behind the bar? You
Oh,
can.
Yeah, it's like a smell.
What do they order? What's their drink? What's a drink where you're like this jagoff ordering here?
No, I always find it funny, and I try to give a lot of people grace when they come in because it's like that the Euphoria thing. It's like the girls who get it, and the girls who don't.
Evan watches Euphoria.
So you watch
I don't
Euphoria?
watch- I don't
Oh
watch
my
it.
god! Oh my god! It's the
Yes.
best. It's
Euphoria
the
is
best show.
great. I've been telling Dan, he's like, this is a high schooler show. I'm like, no, dude.
I
Everybody
don't
watches
care.
this.
You need to watch it.
Yeah.
No, so people don't realize sometimes that it's like we're a shot and a beer kind of bar, right? I'm trying to integrate some cocktails in there, so we're going to be working on that hopefully soon. But I always find it funny when people are like, "Can you show me your wine list?" I'm like, "Red or white?"
Yeah, we got two
Like-
bottles.
Like no, like and I try to be nice because I'm like I don't want them to feel uncomfortable or weird, but it's like read the room.
Yeah.
Nothing's on tap.
Yeah.
Some walks in, orders a mojito.
Yeah, I'm like, like we had a girl do that once, and the bartender is a friend, and they were like, "We'll take 2 strawberry daiquiris," and he's like, "Okay," and he walked away, and then they waited for like 10 minutes, and then my cousin walked by, and she's like, "Hey, I don't know what's going on with the bartender. Like, we haven't gotten our drinks," and she goes, "You're gonna be waiting a really long time. Fucking order something else."
Yeah.
No, but I think difference between the North Side and South Side is like, someone who's from the South Side will tell you. They say it like being from Chicago is a badge of honor, right? I always
Right.
say that. But when you're from the South Side, you say like, I'm from the South Side of Chicago. And I
Yeah.
think that's, to me, there's like, I know you stand up a little taller, shoulders go back, your head
Yeah.
nods a little bit. You're like, yeah, from the South Side. And then people automatically think you're in like a gang or something. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not in
Yeah.
a gang, guys. I'm just from the
Southtown,
South.
North Side just doesn't get it,
They just don't get it. But I will say, like, I love the North Side because I have so many, like, I have family who lives up there. I have a lot of good friends from the North Side too. We may be from the same place, but we're cut from 2 different cloths. We're not cut from the same cloth. It's just different. But that's okay. We learn from each other, I think.
For sure.
Well said.
Well said. So, all right, who's gonna have a better record this year, Cubs or Sox?
I mean, if baseball
If
is
they-
able to.
If it happens.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys saw it today, but the first 2 series are pushed back, which, to be honest,
Ridiculous.
I don't think we're going to have baseball at all for the month of April. I just don't. Like, as much as I'd like to believe we would, because I selfishly, as like a family whose business thrives off of opening day and the Sox being in town, like it sucks for like that's the thing that I think people don't realize right now is like, I understand what the players are fighting for and I believe it. And you need to find a balance. And I think the players are finally realizing their worth as players. And what people I think sometimes don't realize is like, these guys have a short shelf life. So yeah, they may be making a ridiculous amount of money in a short time, but they're only playing for like maybe 7 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you got to maximize on those 7 years that you can getting that check or whatever. The owners are always going to make the money. They're the owners. They're greedy. They're selfish. Of course, they don't want to give more money away. Why would they? It's not profiting them. God, I need baseball. I need baseball.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole industry that revolves around it too, right? Like,
yeah, there's so many, we do, even, like one of my friends who's the in-game host for the Sox, like she's not going to have a job until they start. Like that sucks for her, like, so you think about the people who work at the stadium, people who around the stadiums, and that's just not at Sox, that's at Cubs. That's everywhere. That's all those teams,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I get it. Like, believe me when I say like I get what they're fighting for. But I would be genuinely surprised if baseball started before May.
Yeah, same, man. This has been so much fun. Jenna, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so
we've
much.
Heard stories, we've heard history,
Learned how to make a drink
on it. Yeah. Where can people find everything you do?
Yes. So you can find the podcast, Bar Talk with Jenna. It's what it is at all social media accounts, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I am at Jenna C. Duddleston. It pops up with the podcast. You'll find me again. My name's a mouthful. I understand that. But yeah, no, thank you guys for having me on. And for anyone who's listening, if you'd like to come and join the Bar Talk community, we like to have good conversations. And I hope it leaves you with a little bit of something that you can take in your day-to-day life and learn from and get a good laugh while you're at it too.
Awesome. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Jenna.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks again to Jenna Duddleston for coming on. Again, you can find her at Bar Talk with Jenna on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. All right, Dan. So do you got a would you rather for us here before we close out the show?
Yeah, real quick. For the rest of your life, would you rather only be able to eat, and this isn't every day, it's just when the occurrence happens, would you rather only be able to eat hot dogs or hamburgers for the rest of your life? 4th of July, ballpark, barbecuing in the backyard, family gatherings.
So I think I'm going hamburgers because sometimes hot dogs are sometimes just questionable. You don't know what's in there, man. In case meat, it's tough.
I go hot dog all day on that one.
Would you?
Yeah, hot dog all day. Sometimes hamburgers are just too much. It's just too much bun typically. I mean, if you're eating it at like a family gathering, usually that bun is just way too bready. And it's just they're dry. It's hard to cook a hamburger well compared to a hot dog. I mean, even a char dog's good. You can't have a char hamburger. You know what I mean?
If you're talking like home cooking it, yeah, it's obviously tougher. But if I'm going to like a restaurant or something, I'm not ordering a hot dog. I'm ordering a burger. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But I would just get a sandwich. Anyways. All right. You got a fact for me, man?
All right. I actually have 2 of them. Today is Fat Tuesday, Dan. So also Ponchki Day.
Ponchki Day.
Chicago. Ponchki. Those are filled donut-like pastries made to be particularly rich if you're not from Chicago or you're not Polish. Do you know why it's Ponchki Day?
No, but I know my family celebrates it and posts it on Facebook, all their ponchkis that they bought.
So the reason why today is Ponchki Day and they do it on Fat Tuesday is because it's right before Lent. And so all these bakeries are trying to get rid of their eggs and lard and all the good stuff before Lent happens. So that's why today is that day. So there's your fact. That's why it's Ponchki Day. And then the other one I have, I saw you were watching Sandlot the other day.
Yep.
Did you know that the main guy that plays Benny and the guy that plays Benny when he's older, when he's in the show, they're brothers?
Yeah. Oh, really? So is his older brother?
It's his older brother, Mike Vitar and Pablo Vitar.
So, and which one's Benny, Mike or Pablo?
Mike.
Oh man, what a character. Yeah, I put that on Sunday morning, I think, and like just had my cup of coffee and watching the Sandlot. I was like, this is probably as good as it gets. I was like, I love that movie. Yeah, I love that movie so much, and the soundtrack and just how well done. And just like, I don't know, as a kid, you watch it. So like every time you watch it, it's nostalgia, right? And it brings you back to a time, brings you back to a moment. It's so good. I get goosebumps watching it. When Squints is drowning, right?
on purpose to get Wendy Peppercorn to give him a kiss. And then they're like, what the hell is he doing? And he opens his eyes and smiles. And they all are just like, what the hell? This magic. Oh, man, it's so good.
Yeah.
All right. So that is our show today. Thanks again to our guest, Jenna Duddleston, for joining us today. For Evan Bierman, I'm Dan Slowick. You've been listening to the Domestic Draft Podcast. If you're listening on Spotify, don't forget to rate the show. You can find us on Twitter at Domestic Draft, on Instagram at Domestic Draft Podcast. Our website is domesticdraft.com, and you could watch the show on YouTube. Just search up Domestic Draft and drop us a sub. Thanks again for listening.
Cheers.